Have you ever wondered why Minecraft puts so much work into realism for some features and then will add a brand new mob which is meant to look like this in the real world but in Minecraft can be ridden underwater, will keep feeding you oxygen and also can turn into a zombie? If you have, you might find it interesting to learn the game's chief creative officer, also known as Jeb, has actually responded directly to these questions alongside that of the new combat system coming to Java and Bedrock and of course all of the leaks that will be coming out. I guarantee you're going to like 2 of his free responses. You might also like to learn when the spear is finally going to be here, and a brand new beta gives us the insight on that, and there are so many pieces of information that I'm going to be sharing in this bit, because there's lots of Minecraft things you probably need to know, but might not justify their own video, and so welcome to Bits, and let's get started with the first and most important thing, Jeb responding to the community after Minecraft Live, and the biggest one is this on Blue Sky, where someone says, why is the Nautilus the choice for an underwater rideable mob in Minecraft? They get that the community, including themselves, have been really wanting a Nautilus in the game, and they love it both conceptually and visually, but I thought a goal when adding real-life animals was to make them realistic. And after the Firefly debacle, you might think this too, but Jeb says that this was actually debated internally for a while too, but it was decided to make an exception and turn a real-life animal into a fantasy creature in this case. This is really great news and kind of represents Jeb saying that yeah, as a whole they still want to be realistic with real-life animals, but they're totally willing to say that yeah, in the case of the Nautilus, making it look the way it does and having the behavior it does is way more fun for the game, and this is actually when Minecraft is at its best, when they say with things like the piglin that yeah, pigs can't trade gold in real life, but it's way more fun if in the game they can, and I think the same is true for the Ender Dragon, the Guardian, and so many other parts of the game. I love that the fantasy era of Minecraft clearly seems to be back, and we have an even better response from Sarah Boving, who did the art for this clearly, because they responded to someone saying, I'm sorry Minecraft, but that Nautilus is clearly an ammonite, and so again, this is the artist who made all of the wolf textures, said was very inspired by ammonites and other creatures. Real world Nautiluses are very unique looking, but I had wanted to reflect the Nautilus shell item already in game that players are familiar with. This is an interesting thing about Minecraft. No matter what one game designer thinks, they still need to tie into what every other game designer has done as a whole, and so when there is a feature like the Nautilus shell, it kind of does limit what they could do with the Nautilus mob, and personally I think it's a perfect match, and if we just all agree not to Google Nautilus too much because it's never coming up in your day-to-day life, then everyone is much better for it. Speaking of much better for it, Ordinary Toaster had 2 interesting questions for Jeb. The first was what are his personal thoughts on leaks and leakers, and the second is what's a game he wishes every Minecrafter could play. This is an interesting question, of course, because people are continuously speculating that Roger Badgerman and now John are actually Minecraft developers that are being encouraged to share these things, and Jeb says that leaks are extremely disappointing for everyone who have been working on things for a long time and want to reveal them on their own terms. This response is consistent with what he said in the past, and to be clear, technically speaking, you can't get full value from this because officially everyone high up at Mojang would have to say that we don't want leaks for any reason, because the only way they stop their day-to-day staff leaking things, and they can do that if they wanted to have an unofficial backdoor that they kept having, is to say, look, we don't want that, because if they allowed leaks to happen, then they'd be implicitly allowing their staff to leak things when it made sense. But I do think Jeb is telling the truth here, and the reason this is so relevant recently is because of this comment from Hamilton Granger. I know he knew they were going to add zombie horses to survival, I just can't prove it. This is in response to my community post about 45 minutes before, and this is because the Minecraft Live show leaked about an hour early. I have no idea why it leaked an hour early. I'm guessing this is someone data mining, but MAYHEM, who is someone who's done some of that data mining style stuff before, says don't forget the zombie has a spear and then it's a zombie horse, and then they show this picture of a Nautilus with a bunch of armors. This was something that I figured we shouldn't share at the time. Worst case, it is inaccurate, and best case, it's a spoiler for something happening 40 minutes in advance, but it does seem as though MAYHEM was correct about this, which is very, very interesting to say. Speaking of interesting things to say, what's the answer to that second question from earlier? What's a game that every Minecraft player should play? And this is hard because Minecraft has such a diverse audience. Honestly, I kind of get this. Like, the only game that I feel like you could be confident saying is Minecraft-ish is maybe like Terraria or Stardew Valley, but both of those games miss giant mechanics from Minecraft to the point where really I think about 80% of Minecraft players would never get down with them. And, you know, think about how much further you get when you start talking about your Call of Duties or your FIFAs or your Forzas. I think that ultimately there is no one game that replicates Minecraft, and that's why it is so successful. Finally though, we have the third in the trio of Jeb responses, and it's interestingly the exact same response to this person who asks, is there a possibility of offhand for all items or a Java combat system being released for Minecraft Bedrock? And for this person asking, is it going to be possible to lower the minimum layer of the ocean and to make it so that deep slate starts at minus 256. And the response to both of these is something I respect, but is interesting anyway. Sorry, I will not write about development plans here or answer about future features. The reason he says for this is he wants Blue Sky to be his like kind of personal place, and so when he responds to someone saying, is this intentional, with them placing a bunch of carved pumpkins around a trial chamber, he's just doing that for fun, and I kind of respect that like if he's not being paid to write on Blue Sky, he's not going to try and speculate on the future of the game or mess with the development plans, because that would effectively be him leaking things early, right? He just wants to have a fun time, and even though I really want to know his thoughts on combat, I just want him to say, look, we are still working on it, or look, things got a bit slow, but it's still happening, or look, honestly, it's too much work at this point, we'd much rather just add zombie Nautiluses. I want to know the answers to those questions, but sadly, we won't be getting them from Jeb. Speaking of things we won't be getting from Jeb, did you know a brand new beta and preview just came out for Minecraft Bedrock? It's called 1.21.120.24, and if you're wondering why this is why you're seeing so much gameplay of the spear, well, there's an interesting answer here, because this came out on the 1st of October, but it was dated the 30th of September, so it flew under the radar for a lot of people, but ultimately, I think it is important to note that even if you've seen the spear on the Java edition of the game, it certainly hasn't been a snapshot. It's people using data packs, in other words, mods, to make sure that they can change the game so there is a new weapon before it actually comes out. In other words, people are now making their own snapshots of snapshots because they want to play with features in early development versions before they're actually being developed, and so that is how you can see this. I actually do think this is pretty cool, the first spear montage. It's got 250,000 views, but ultimately this is someone using a fake version of the spear. The real spear is not here yet, but what is here is the Copper Age. By the way, I saw a really fun post on Reddit, which is Puffyfish Pond asking, why is the shield so big on shelves? Well, I had two immediate thoughts for this, and so I've gotten all dressed up for this part of the video, not even my Legacy Console Edition suit, but a proper tuxedo, to say that my first thought was like, oh, I bet this isn't true on Bedrock. There's like a decent number of things that go viral that just aren't true over here, so let's find out first of all if we can create a shield, if that shield is bigger than a banner, because if the... Oh, it's powered. Because if the shield is bigger than a banner, let's quickly turn this one off. If the shield is bigger than a banner, then you could use this to your advantage. How could you do that? Well, simply put, if we put the shield on a banner, then it has the exact same look, but now it would be bigger. However, as you can see, I think that this makes it about like 2 pixels bigger, but if you wanted to take full advantage on Bedrock or on Java, all you would have to do is make yourself a bunch of different shields, and then you could, slowly but surely, make your text a little bit better. Is this what you want to do? This is highly debatable, but if you do like the idea of having your if you like the idea of your signs looking a little bit better, or you just like the idea of playing around with something, here's how you can make some text kind of be bolded out using this grey outline, which is kind of fun. Speaking of fun, by the way, I've had for a while this problem where my all blocks is missing a K, and so I went and crafted the missing letter. Oh, damn it. And so I went and crafted the missing letter. There we go. Oh, that looks terrible. Anyway, speaking of terrible, let's get back to the video, because there is a beta that just came out, and I was excited for this. I was sure that even though it didn't necessarily make sense, Mojang were going to be releasing some early version of the Spear and maybe the Nautilus too, and so what did we get from this? The answer is a beta that is entirely filled with the most dreaded word in the Minecraft Update Aficionados Dictionary, and that is bug fixes. That's right, it seems on the surface like this is a bunch of bug fixes to make sure that the 1.21.120 update goes out entirely fine, but take a slightly deeper look, and what do you find? Well, it's the fact that basically every line on this changelog has something to do with Mounts of Mayhem and the features in that. So for example, in vanilla parity, you can see they've changed how light is absorbed to make it so that it's now brighter underneath water to match Java, and with this change, fewer drowned will spawn in shallow waters or rivers. This is important if they're going to have a zombie Nautilus, which they want to have only spawn in dark areas, but also they've changed the textures of chests and saddles on all mobs that have them, including, what's that? These zombie horses. Very, very interesting. Also, they fixed some missing pixels on the body texture of the drowned. Oh, that's just about to appear on a brand new mob, isn't it? They've also fixed missing pixels on current or horse armors, and also empty chest armor slots, as well as the brewing stand empty bottle slot will now match the item's texture. And think about it. Where is the empty armor slot going to be? Oh, that is a very interesting one. The same is true for the fact that they're working on combat fixes. Basically, Minecraft have spent this beta fixing mixing up a lot of parts of the game that are about to see a lot of attention with the Mounts of Mayhem, and that is very, very cool. But it does mean that if you were excited to play around with the spear this week, unless you're willing to play around with a mod that's based on Minecraft Live, you can't actually do so, and instead you're going to have to wait for 1.21.130, or I guess it could be 1.21.120.25, but most likely what will happen is there'll be a brand new preview cycle that starts next week, and it will include the Mounts of Mayhem. And so if you want to play around with the spear for the first time, next Tuesday is when that and the Nautilus, and perhaps the rest of the drop so far, will be coming out. Just a reminder, there are other features that will follow in future weeks. This has been confirmed by Minecraft, thankfully, and also just to confirm, if you are a Java player, that's not 1.21.130, it's 1.21.10, although there are bug fixes for 1.21.9, so maybe 1.21.11. It's a perfectly flawless update system. And there is nothing they could do to improve the names, and so they should stick it exactly the way it is right now. But more seriously, to give the kind of analysis at the end of the video here, I think that this is a really good sign that they are playing around with combat. And sure, even though the Mounts of Mayhem drop is going to be ocean and combat related, I think there's a limit to how much both of those things will change, but this certainly is a sign in the right direction. We are seeing Minecraft focus more and more on combat, which might be them laying even more of the groundwork for a future 1.22 that really changes everything. Or it could be that they actually just decide one week, you know what, we've already got the combat tests, we've already worked on it for Bedrock and Java, why don't we just release that? Just like how the zombie horse sat in development for 13 years, not really doing anything, it could be that if they've done any amount behind the scenes, they could have a combat system that would really revolutionize this drop or a future update. And so is that going to come? I think certainly not in the first snapshot and preview, but I do hope that as we see more of this going down, that we see a major combat set of changes to Minecraft, and that maybe one day we can hold these brand new copper torches in our offhand. But maybe that's too hopeful. For now, I hope you all enjoyed bits. If you did, don't forget to like the video, and to potentially consider subscribing if you want to see the honest Minecraft news that we cover here on this channel. Otherwise, thank you, because I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.